Okay. Well, hopefully.
So that it doesn't move. What's that? The mouse, so that it doesn't move. Did I move something?
No, I would just pull the mouse all the way down so you can't see the little mouse.
Yeah, I mean the red bar didn't go. Oh, you didn't see the red bar before? Well, it just because it wasn't yeah, bring it. It was like that. Yeah, there.
Is it on full screen still?
Yeah, I think it just got like fast forwarded without the big play. So I think it's good. So.
Do that. The bottom should.
Make sure they can hear that. Zoom in lens. This is just good for portraits. That's just for portraits. Yeah. Usually looks best outside, but and here I think I just need these two. These can zoom in and out. Connected. Normally 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah. No, that's okay. Oh, wait, you don't. No, that's okay.
Wait, did you go to double or probably use Libito?
Well, in that point, sorry, but Spanish fast.
Yeah. So,
You want to be comfortable.
mon ça tous.
No, mboka map set the mboko set.
Okay.
Hey, that's what we.
No te otra vez. Go on, if you buy your fed woman? Yeah.
Yeah, now we want everything on our camera. I'll leave the router right there.
Sorry.
Where's the camera set? You're going to set the camera.
Go there. This gentleman Mevo, here he is. He's talking with this lady right now. Correct. Yeah. But he's gonna come. He's gonna come. We'll go flash crash.
My name's Now,
I used to be like that. I was like that when I was
I was to do with that. Your idea from yesterday.
And all of a sudden, I
This name,
So we'll get up.
but the teach you out
Reach out tomorrow for a drink. And when I get back to you, I'll also reach out to you so that you can meet with our economic section.
so to be lunch to get
things that are not finding just like Salvo. Is it the president of the project? This is agricultural project, which I'm a big part of. Everest is there too. Everest is there with him.
Running for president is so we got no problem for that, but we lost and whoever's going to sit next to him in the moderator is here. So we may have to look at Gilbert is out on my frame. So we need to get both Gilbert. We need to get first here and last year. Go. Not this way, please. Yeah, so we don't touch that. We don't network again. We need to get first year and last year in frame. So, sitting there and then Gilbert is sitting there. So can we get a position where we're going to get first and last? Possible?
Just turn it a little bit.
Beauty? That's the shot. Yep, that's the shot. Is everybody in? Yeah. Now, when you're going, that's kind of what I want to stay with. Well, you can't look at this because this is like 10 minutes behind. So, you know, this is your sort of monitor. So we do this week. I think where I'm going to be comfortable is we're going to get those two shots, okay? Right? So we get a two shot here between who lost in the moderator. We got a two shot here, kind of keep on so that's a little bit too wide.
Keep it up.
What do you mean by removing?
Yeah, we're just gonna go with that background.
No, I like to do it.
No, you like to just keep it
Right, just right, because if you that background, you're gonna some of my life. It's all white.
keep you down and just
Moderator, when she comes in, we can actually get that if you want. Introduction.
Okay, can we please settle down? We have all of our speakers.
It's only at that level. At that level that you can set up shop. So we need to be at that level. Not at the what this guy said. Right? We've got the center shot. Center shot. And lost that's the two shot lost. I need to do it. We don't want to go to take up somewhere where we don't want to be. I find facing up in good thing. I think it's a little stuff. So, but to turn it off, in the set of backlighting, I'm suggesting we switch that way. Anything that you like. You can either play this way, be comfortable. or just no, that's good.
Oh,
Right? Yeah.
the ring pointed out.
Right.
Found the face.
Right?
Three of them right there.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome to the HRA Spring 2019 Town Hall. I will ask for you to please silence your phones or any electronic media that you have as we are about to start. Thank you. Well, hello. My name is Sophie Source. I'm the Executive Director. Myself and HRA board members welcome you to the Haiti Renewal Alliance Spring Town Hall in collaboration with our esteemed partner from GW University, the Center of International Business, Education, and Research, CIBER. Thank you for your participation and attendance to this meeting today. The Haiti Renewal Alliance welcomes you to a conversation of substance, where we aim to foster sustainable and effective solutions for the greater economic development of the Haitian people. In the spirit of HRA's town halls, we aim to create a collaborative and productive platform where key political leaders, policymakers, and economic actors can share perspectives and solutions for economists, business, and community leaders of Haiti on the current socio-economic state of stagnation. Our well-versed panelists will offer their vision for a way forward and define an inclusive, sustainable development plan for a functional, industrialized, and competitive Haiti. The town hall will also explore our commitment to build sustainable institutions for the empowerment of the Haitian people, diaspora, and nation. Without further ado, I will start by giving you guideline principles for this conversation today. We ought not to call it a debate. As you see, our setting is organic, and we wish it to remain that way. In order for each of those panelists that will provide you with their perspective to actually talk to each other as opposed to talking at each other. We want this to be an organic flow. We want this to be a conversation of substance where actual key policy decision and proposal are made, because we're very much focused on monitoring our outcome. We will have each panelist have their individual presentation for about 2 minutes. Each presentation for panelists will be of 8 minutes, and responses to the question answered by you, asked by you, the audience, would be of 2 minutes. Remember, we only have a 2-hour deadline, thus we need to, unfortunately, keep ourselves on schedule. So, let us introduce you to the HRA Spring 2019 panel. Visionary perspective for a way forward in revitalizing Haiti's economy. Today's moderator, Mr. Leslie Samdi, is an engineer by profession and a media personality by passion. But quand nous connaissons tout haïtien, nous avons talent multiple, n'est-ce pas? Now, Leslie has had a burgeoning career in radio and media. His resume is a bit too long to articulate in the short amount of time I'm given for you tonight. So I'll just start by saying that Leslie started his career in 1976 at Radio Port-au-Prince while attending the Faculty of Science in Haiti. He has later had 12-year tenure at a TV in Queens and Long Island Community Channel. He co-hosted a very well-known show called Dimanche Culture and Echo of Washington, especially during, let's say, election season. So you can see that he has a very acute sense of political awareness. That said, in collaboration with our partner organization on diaspora disasters and response preparedness, Leslie has been using his personal network to become a megaphone for a call to unity of the diaspora, helping on relief effort and emergency preparedness. So without further ado, please put your hands together and welcome our esteemed panelists as well as our moderator, Mr.
Thank you, Sophie. That was very generous of you. It's a kind introduction. I do appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go too far, I'd like you to put your hands together for HRA organization for putting up this kind of forum together so we can bring all Haitians and all Haitians with investment capability and ideas together. We have with us HR members. We have founder Magali. We have a female is here too. Who is female? Female doctor is right here. Sophie is the executive director. Sophie is and Sophie mentioned we have a panel of 5 really experienced business people here with us. You know, it's a good choice, actually. You may recognize all of them. Dr. Bolos, Madame Dress, Magali Dress, Emile, Leslie Gervais, and Monsieur Hippolyte, Gabriel Hippolyte. Would you please welcome? Thank you very much. We're going to start the conversation by giving you some background on each of our panelists here. And we'll go alphabetically, meaning Bolos, Dress, Emile, Gervais, and Hippolyte. By the way, I should be the last because I'm Sami, right? All right. So let's start with Dr. Bolos. Dr. Bolos is a Haitian medical doctor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and politician. He's the founder and president of our Bolos Group and Mouvement Troisième Voie. He was born in 1956. He attended school that I attended, Petit Séminaire Essentiel, and obtained his doctor's degree at the Faculty of Medicine of the University d'Haïti. That was in 1981. He then obtained a master's in public health and tropical medicine from Tulane University in 1982. During his medical career, he closely collaborated with Johns Hopkins in Baltimore on numerous interdisciplinary research projects on measles, HIV, breastfeeding, and childhood immunization. He has an extensive background. Should I go over that? That will take a long time. So let me offer the opportunity to Dr. Bolos to talk to us about his vision, his plan, whatever he's been working on. Dr. Bolos, you have the microphone.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the organizers of this conference for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I would like to start this presentation of the vision with 4 questions. First one is, how does the country that used to be called the Perle des Antilles has become today one of the poorest countries in the world? How does a country that used to be the source of banana, rice, sugar for the rest of the world imports today 70% of what they eat? How does a country who conquered its independence by basically fighting and winning a war with the French today cannot organize its own police? And how does the first black independent republic today is basically has lost its sovereignty, is almost under domination, if we can call it like that. And I think this is a presentation of myself or my vision? Because it says 1 minute.
Yeah, it's 2 minutes. 2 minutes current.
No. I introduced them. Let's give them 8 minutes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
I got lost.
We got a different story.
Okay, thank you.
We got a different story.
Okay.
We got a different story as well,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
What is the current situation of Haiti? It is a failed state with lack infrastructure, with a very weak economy. If we want to compare, in 1960, we had almost the same GDP per capita as the Dominican Republic. Today, we are at $750. The Dominican Republic is above 7,000, 10 times our economy. We have been having an average of minus 0.7% growth over the last 20 years, meaning 1.3% growth versus 2% population growth. So in fact, we become poor every year. What got Haiti from 1804 to today in that state? I think 4 major elements. The first one, and probably the most important, the independence debt that France imposed on Haiti, which in 2004 dollars adds to $21 billion that was taken from Haiti to France. The second one is, contrary to what history usually says, the occupation, the US occupation. Because the US occupation is really a failed attempt to transform Haiti into a banana and sugar plantation for the United States. The third element, which is a very important one, is the liberalization of the economy in 1986, under again US influence, when basically most of the custom duties were reduced and national production basically collapsed. And the fourth is the 2010 earthquake. So we have, I would say, mitigating circumstances, but at the end of the day, every people is responsible for its destiny. And we have to hold ourselves accountable, each of us accountable for where we are today in Haiti. There is a complete lack of political structure in Haiti. We went from 1986 dictatorship to the bamboche démocratique without having been prepared for that. Today in Haiti we have 145 political parties which represent less than 10% of the population. In fact, the last election, our president was elected with 10% of the votes, meaning that in terms of political mandate, we don't have a political mandate. What do we call the third way? The third way forward is because what are the first and the second way? This is a question I've been asked many times. You can look at it in 3 different perspectives of history. The first way could be from 1957 to 1986, the period of dictatorship, and from 1986 to today, the bamboche démocratique. Then we can again divide from 1986. The first way is the installation and instrumentalization of armed gangs, including violence in Haiti. And the second one is the corruption that has seen $4 billion of Petro-Caribbean funds without seeing the result. And I've already talked for 7 minutes? Wow.
No, 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes.
Okay, let me go faster then, because I haven't even started my presentation. And the third way to look at it is today, we have a failed, I would say, government, and I'm talking about infrastructure, police infrastructure, economic infrastructure, fundamental infrastructure, and we have an opposition that offers no alternative and no vision for Haiti. So what are the 10 pillars of the third way? First one, law and order. Imagine this. In 1804, we had an army of 50,000 people for 1.5 million people. Today we have 16,000 policemen, underfunded, undernourished, undertrained, under-equipped for 11 million. For comparison, the Dominican Republic has 60,000 policemen, 75,000 militaries. The second is inclusive growth. Even if we grow and we can distribute that vote. Today, there is no enforcement of tax collection. It's funny that our previous to last Prime Minister paid 5 years of his income tax the night before he became Prime Minister. Imagine that happening in the US. He would be in jail today. The third one is gender equality. And even on that panel here, we don't have gender equality. We have 4 men and 4 women. Haiti is a country where gender equality does not exist. We have 52% of our population is women. We have 4 congressmen among 139 members of Congress. 1 senator over 30 senators. The fourth is development of youth, economic insertion, and mobility. The average age of the public administration is 52 years of age, whereas most students from university has 3 diplomas. And you know why they have 3 diplomas? Because they go to one university, don't find a job, so they go to a second university, don't find a job, then they go to a third one. That's their job, is to go to university. The fifth one is the rule of economic rigidity. We lose $500 million of contraband and income tax not paid. The sixth one is environment and protection of catastrophe. We know we are a country where we have hurricanes and earthquakes now almost regularly, but we don't prepare for it. I'm going to end with a quick story. I'm probably one of the few persons in the world who was in Haiti during the earthquake and in Japan during the earthquake. I was at the airport when the earthquake happened. There was 13,000 people at the airport, which was closed. They had 13,000 mattresses for all of us to sleep. They had water prepared for 5 days for us to drink. They have food ready. We don't plan, we don't execute, we don't program, we just live every day. I will stop here. Thank you very much.
So, that was Dr. Law's presentation. You are invited to write down some questions that you can formulate from the presentation. And our second speaker tonight is Magdalene Dress. She was born and raised in Haiti. She completed the industrial engineering program at the University of Kiskia in Port-au-Prince. Her interest in crafts began at an early age. In 2006, Magdalene became the owner of Caribbean Craft Haiti and redesigned the company structure along its marketing strategy. She also focused on helping the artisans to achieve their personal development. With one of the biggest clients, West Elm, and a local NGO, they developed a literacy program for 40 of Caribbean craft employees. In 2010, Magali and her company was the Entrepreneur of the Year from the Digicel Award Imaging category. And in 2013, she received the Social Innovative Sustainability Award by the Latin Trade Magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, put it together for Magali.
It is an honor for me to be here tonight and to proudly represent the women of Haiti. It's an unbalanced panel, but I'll do my best. I'll talk to you tonight about my real passion. It's not my job, it's my passion. It's about the role that everybody has to play in Haiti to promote exports. I would like to say that as much as we don't sell enough of our citadel, we don't sell enough of our craft, we don't sell enough of our arts. And this is where I find a big opportunity for us to drag a lot of attention and create a lot of jobs in the craft sector. I just arrived this morning from Haiti to New York City, and I had like you mentioned West Elm, which is one of the biggest partners that we have in Haiti, helping us putting Haitian quality goods in their stores. The reason why I'm mentioning that is because for the moment they're looking with us to see how they can put more of the items in their partner company, which is Poultry Barn and etc. So what is my company doing? What do we do for the moment? We have about 135 employees in Port-au-Prince, but our strength is to work with different groups around the country. We strongly believe that the potential is there, but we cannot structure one organization to fulfill the demand. And for the moment, as Mr. Willows is saying, the situation is not right, and we are suffering from the lack of visibility that we have. People don't come anymore to Haiti to see what's there. We have to go to the market. So what do? We do the trade shows. Greencraft is the only national company at the New York Gift Show and the Las Vegas Show twice a year. What we do, we promote the talent of Haiti through high quality goods. Why do we believe that this is a sector that's important? The research recently released by the US market showed that the size of the global handmade market was, in 2017, $524 billion. They're expecting it to be at 984 by 2023, with a growth of 11% per year. So that means that we need to position Haiti. We need to reposition Haiti because we were there. In the 75, this is a country that has been exporting for thousands and thousands of dollars per company per week. Now we are, at the moment, I think at export close to only 9 million a year. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to tap into this big market. 983 billions, how are we going to get ready to have a part of it go towards our artisans and artists? So that what we are doing now is establishing strong partnership, not only with existing companies, but branching out to other companies, redesigning certain items, but also establishing a partnership that I find more interesting. Since nobody wants to come to Haiti, then why don't we just partner with other countries where they do go? I'm talking about Guatemala, Mexico, Colombia. Why don't we do something where Haiti has a fair share? This will allow us two things. First of all, give us time to build a capacity. Because there's one thing to be exporting, but the worst is not to deliver. Getting an order and not delivering is closing doors for everybody in Haiti. And we can't afford that. So for the moment, we're going to go under that umbrella, and it's one of the reasons why I was in the US before coming here. How does Haiti has a fair share under that umbrella? And who leads that? This is an idea that I brought to the table, but everybody's following. Colombia, Guatemala, Haiti, Mexico, Peru, and Bolivia. This is a brand that is going to come out soon, and that's going to be marketed around the world. But Haiti will have not only the time to prepare, but also the time to grow. Because that's what I believe in. Why art and crafts? 76% of the artisans are women. And when Dr. Willis was saying gender equality, well, I'm fighting for a little bit of inequality in my country, in my company, because we have more women in our company than men. This is creating opportunities for women. The second reason why I do focus on creating more jobs in the sector is because we need to boost our export. It's not normal that we were exporting the bananas and sugar, but now we can change. Why don't we just, besides banana and sugar, that's going to take time, why don't we work together and put together the lines that could be ready in the market? Because every single Haitian is an artist at heart. They will do other jobs, but they create, and that's their passion. The second thing that I also would like to talk to you about is that the handmade products of Haiti have very high value on the market because of the awareness, because people are more conscious into what they want to buy. They want to buy not only a product, but they also want to buy a story. And the last reason why I'm so passionate about the craft sector is because it is a true ambassador of our culture. When somebody at West Elm finds an item that we create, they're surprised. Because Haiti, oh, we didn't know that they have that quality. And what we ask is that the label says the story of who's behind it. Not me, but the artisan who's working. So what I like to say is that Haiti is in everybody's heart, but mostly I think it's in every single Haitian's hands. So I think that it's in order for me to be here tonight, and I look forward to all of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Magali. Now, our third speaker is Mr. Emile. I will say things about Emile, that he's an economist, and a business consultant working in Haiti. He holds an MBA in banking and finance from Taiwan, a bachelor degree in economics, and has also studied sociology at Université d'Italie. He is currently the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Université Kisila, and at the same time, he is a professor. And recently, that was November 7, 2017, Mr. Emile published his first book titled Haïti a choisi de devenir un pays pauvre. Les 20 raisons qui le prouvent. Haiti has chosen to become a poor country, 20 reasons that prove it. And along with that, Mr. Emile talk to us about his vision and what he's been doing in the sector, in the economic sector. Mr. Emile.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello everyone. Thank you, HRA, for this invitation. Talk about visionary perspective. My title of this presentation tonight is The Race for Growth. Talk about growth for me is a new story, is a new message. Because I realize in Haiti, we've been attacking problems in the wrong way. Haiti has a main problem. We didn't create wealth. And the less wealth we create, and the more intense political battle could be. Because everyone trying to grab a little piece of a little cake. The less wealth we create, the more difficult it could be to satisfy the needs of the people. It's very simple. We didn't create wealth first because it's not a priority. Second, we never define an economic model that can get us to that wealth creation. And third, the know-how we need to drive us to the growth or wealth creation is outside of the country. Because 85% of Haitian people get at least a bachelor's degree, live abroad. And at the same time, the small percentage who stay in the country maybe not necessarily used properly or used at all. We need to get a divorce. Get a divorce is to redefine economic policies. Sadly, economic policies for the last 30 years only focus on three things. First, fight against budget deficit. But actually, we never win that battle because we record the highest level of budget deficit in history last year. Second, fight against inflation. But we never win because we record the highest level of inflation since 2008, last February, 17%. Fight against depreciation of the currency. But we never win. We record the highest level of currency depreciation last year, 30% in 12 months. A bad economic policy with wrong focus. So, what's the point if stabilize the currency or the price when the private credit is decreasing? What's the point when we fight against inflation and money and depreciation currency when there's no wealth creation? For proof, the measures we take to fight against inflation, budget deficit, depreciation of currency, have asphyxiated economic growth. From 1981 to last year, the average annual growth was 0.49%, while the population has grown about 2%. It's basically poverty production process. As I said in my book, Haiti has chosen to become a poor country. I think it's a label today, you can get it if you want to. At this rate, 0.49%, according to the rule of 72, it would take us 146 years to double our GDP. When we check the trade policies, which are part of the economic policy, I conclude my country is an excellent import lover. And people ask me why the government support import over local production. I said because it's easier to tax import than the local production. That's why we have a commerce sector buy, sell almost 76% of the business. Also, tax policy has been predatory and non-facilitative because the tax system is not designed to support business creation and development by killing them. A couple of examples that show that the mindset is not on wealth creation. But how we can distribute wealth when wealth is not created? That's why I call for a focus on wealth creation. And to get to that point, we need to harmonize the budget policies, monetary policies, trade policies, tax policies, with a clear vision based on the research of growth, wealth creation. That requires also an innovative way to educate our kids, a new way to deal with the national community. The situation is very scary now. The cake has become so small. Maybe I should call it donut now. If we continue on this path, the plane will crash. And even the first class passengers, they won't have any special treatment. Think about it. Thank you.
Now we reach our fourth speaker, Mr. Leslie Jobert. Leslie is a graduate from Montgomery College, George Washington University, where he earned a bachelor in business administration, specialty marketing and management, and he also completed an MBA, specialty finance and investments. Leslie went back to Haiti to work for Citibank for 6 years as a corporate credit officer and assistant manager. He works at the MERS Group as chief financial officer. And Leslie also tried his hands in developing his own business as a founding member of Public Supermarché, among other adventures such as Joliet Distributors. So long again, we are facing experts here. They have a long sheet of experience. So let him talk to us about it.
All right, thank you.
What his vision is.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to thank HRA and the beautiful audience for taking the time to come here. As a matter of fact, I feel right at home because this is where one of the buildings where I attended a few classes, and so I'm a Washingtonian at heart, so it's like a welcome that party. So thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to you about the things that we are doing currently. I saw on the wall a very nice slogan. It said, think analytically, solve complex problems, and challenge the status quo. What I'm doing here tonight is challenging the status quo. Everything the speakers have said, I've talked about, are fundamentally true. I'd like to add to Dr. Bullock's assessment of our current situation since 1804 by saying that in 1804, what we had, which is fundamental, and it's affecting us negatively today, is that we had an unequal share of the wealth that Haiti represented in 1804. That study has been taken over by a French sociologist who wrote a book called Great Crépuscule. And basically what he's telling you is that what you're seeing right now in 2019 is a revenge of the rural areas. What you have is like the people in the back countries right now taking over the city. If you look at it, the traffic, the garbage, the dogs on the street, basically that's what you have. Because they've been left out for 200 years, now they're brought back their own baggage to the capital. It's nothing new. It's the revenge of the rural areas, based on the equal share of the wealth after independence. That's a fundamental issue that has to be addressed. So I'm challenging the status quo, bottom line. And what I'm offering is a fundamental of principles and a few axes of intervention that I'm currently doing. Let me talk about the principle first, and I have just three. How's the model that I'm testing currently in Haiti? The first one is that I'm going to transform the Haiti problems into economic opportunities. We all know about the problems. What about the opportunities? And this is where I am today. So how do I do that? Well, we have to embed the country with policies that can resolve the problem of the masses. Because that's what the market is. I'm not part of the market. I buy my clothes overseas if I want. The masses is producing local in Haiti. And that's the problem. And how can I do that? Once I do that, and I have those policies that implement that solve those massive problems, I have the vectors that are going to create wealth and employment. The second one, because I have to remember in 2040, I have at least 14 or 15 million nations. Imagine that. We already cannot manage 10 or 12 millions. It's going to be a tough call. The second thing is that I'm going to reorganize the territory. And that's another catalyst for economic growth. And the last but not least, I have the demystification of politics. We keep saying we're doing, sometimes people say that we're doing real politics. I wonder, I never seen that in the politics books here in George Washington. Real politics. That's a big name for doing the things we're doing in Haiti, and we're not doing the right things. Okay? And by the way, that can be done through a reorganization of the youth and bring out the potential that they can have to offer. Because we basically have human population. So if you don't reorganize and go against the youth of Haiti, you're not going anywhere. In 20 years, hey, I'll be past history. So the youth is the future. Axis of intervention, I'm choosing for four things. The first one is agroforestry. And I can develop that a little bit later by answering some of your questions and tell you exactly what we're doing. But a good example is the mango industry. The professor here has said that about the growth will take how much time. I can tell you, I can have $1 billion in Haiti's GDP just by planting mangoes. And I'll tell you about it in a minute. Energy. Hey, $400 million a year in deficit? To have a low quality of energy that isn't touching anyone? If you don't have any economic development of energy. So what's the deal here? 500 millions? Come on, we're all being taken for fools. That we need to reduce it in 5 years. The recent thing signed by IMF calls for the government to reduce it by 3 years. It's a wishful thinking. You gotta know how to do it. I've got the expert, I've got the people that can do it. And that's working with population. Hand in hands. You gotta force that. You go to a neighborhood and you try to take down other transformers, good luck. I'll see you again. The potential of the youth, how do you develop that? Well, you need people that are socially responsible and socially committed. Education is a key thing. The youth, they're desperate, no hope. If I throw out a visa here, half of the country will leave right away. How can you keep them in Haiti? You have to work with them and develop them. Give them a sense that they belong to this country, they want to take it to another place. Last but not least, I have massification of credit. And I have some recommendations for the diaspora in terms of credit. There's some current programs that need to be enhanced. The diaspora can help for the SOUL program, and I think those will be some of the things we'll discuss later. So those are the interventions that I'm currently doing here with different groups, different institutions, and we're hoping to create wealth, jobs, and a new perspective on Haiti's future. Thank you very much.
Okay, we are at our last speaker tonight. And I know everybody's ready for the questions, so as soon as we're done with Mr. Hippolyte, we will open up the floor for the questions. In my research about all our speakers this evening, I stumbled upon an article written and published at the Nouvelliste about Gilbert Hippolyte. On l'appelle l'homme de panique. Ce qui lève le plus, c'est l'être humain. Translate, what he enjoys the most is the interrelation with people. Entrepreneur at heart, the CEO of Panexus Haiti believes that it is not normal to make money and not help others. It's a good creed. The heart of this businessman balances between capitalism and socialism. Alexis Haiti SA is a general contracting firm specializing in design, build, and civil engineering projects. As one of the largest construction companies in Haiti, Alexis' portfolio included 2 global airports, the Port-au-Prince Public Market Marché en Fer, and GGCL building, among others. You have the floor, Mr. Hippolyte. First, what's your visions for Haiti?
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to thank the Board of HRA for having us here today, and I think it's a great opportunity to have a chance to talk to you. My outlook is quite different than what other people see. I'm looking at 2 components. I'm looking at the diaspora as opposed.
Hello? Another microphone.
Yes, I would say I'm looking at the diaspora and I'm also looking at the youth of Haiti. Those are 2 major components. And if we put them together, I think that we will be able to make a successful country. When I take a look at it, I'm looking at the diaspora for its financial resources and its competencies. We have all the resources here in the United States and we have to use it. When we put it together, we have a youth that represents about 65% of the population under the age of 35. So that means that they have the working force and we can use those people, they have the energy. So thinking about that, that's the only way we're going to stabilize that country is by creating massive amount of employment. And by doing that, I'm suggesting that both they put themselves together and create like industrial zones in Haiti so that people can start working again. Because today, when you look at all these young people, at night time they're not working. They're partying all night and they're sleeping the daytime. It's unacceptable for a country with such I would say, a piece of tool where those young people, they have the age to work and create wealth in their own country. Besides building free zones, that also gives the opportunity to create adequate housing for those people. You know, Haiti has a deficiency of 500,000 houses. And we need that ASAP because if you don't live in a proper environment, you cannot think of growing your own country. By doing that, that also creates not only stabilization, creates wealth, and also people have a chance to have electricity, normal electricity, and people will also be able to go to school because that goes with the infrastructure around those areas. And I've been talking to a lot of young people. I don't think I've heard people talking about the tourism sector. But if you're not a stable country, who's going to come to your country? So the first thing, and my impression is to put people back to work. And that's the only way. And instead of losing one of the industrial parts that we have, which is Caracol, and we may be losing a lot of the tenants, we should be creating 8 more and create massive, those maybe 80,000 employments. And I will create and direct employments multiplied by 6 at 480,000. As soon as we do that, people won't go out on the street to demonstrate. They'll be going to work. And I think that the United States is a very good example of this model. Everybody has to go to work in the morning, so they don't have time for trouble. I believe, after talking to a lot of young people, that this country has a lot of wealth. We have a lot of art that we can use. We have a lot of forts. I'm talking about things that our ancestors have built for us that are there, and no one is visiting them. Lately, we had that guy, Adel Joseph, who's occupying that area where we have all the mountains with a lot of fortresses that could be used for tourists to go visit. And we're misusing all those opportunities. I believe that it's time for the diaspora. Eventually, we could put the sovereign fund of the diaspora together. We all know that there's money that's going from the diaspora through the the international calls and the transfers, those monies I would suggest they go to a fund, a sovereign fund, where each of you guys could invest your own money into your favorite project, which could be hotel, could be schools, could be anything that you guys decide to. The same way they do in the United States. I don't think that Haiti is different, and I don't think that Haiti is that bad. I just think that we're not taking forward, we're not taking positively. We're just always taking action of the past, what happened in the past. I hate myself personally to be talking about the past because I cannot buy it. I can only think for today and tomorrow. So I believe that the opportunity is there. With each Haitian, we need to start thinking of what can we do for Haiti, not what Haiti can do for us. I truly believe that with this model, having the diaspora invest into their own country, there's no way it is going to succeed. You guys have to know how. A lot of you guys have succeeded in the United States, why not in your own country? And I think that the labor force is right there waiting for you. All those young people, they're waiting to work. I had the opportunity the other day, I walked on the field of them at my house. And when I heard them speaking, and I was like, why is Haiti like that? There's no reason. You know, we need to take those people into their words and put them to what they are saying. Okay? I thank you very much.
So we just completed a round of presentations. We can hear from, we can deduct from what the panel members have expressed that there is a cry for change in Haiti. There's a cry to move things forward, to improve things. And I may use a terminology of Mr. Gervais. He's challenging the status quo. It's like here we say, see something, say something. And I think we're going to continue that conversation. We're going to open up the floor for questions. Sophia, you will help us with the questions? Okay, so we'd like to evenly spread the questions, but are we going to go for the first question on our own? Because I heard Mr. Hippolyte talk about the diaspora. I heard Mr. Emile talking about the changes that we need to have. And we can see there is a common denomination in the vision of these experts here. So we would like to, okay. So I want to put a question to all the panel members. Maybe you have about 2 minutes to answer. Is talking about the diaspora, yes, the diaspora has a role to play in what is going on in Haiti. If you and your own make the call, connected with, I know you are connected with HRA at least, but yes, there is plenty of resources. What you plan to do to get connected with the diaspora in your quest to change what's going on in Haiti? Dr. Willis first. For 2 minutes.
I think that the diaspora has to be the force driving the change. But first, the diaspora is, as I would say, woken up in terms of ideology as we are in Haiti. But because they are living a different model, the diaspora can put together a national agenda for Haiti. Remember when the diaspora was united into one cause, the return of Aristide, many, many years ago. The US government listened. The US government will not listen to you today because you are as divided as we are in Haiti. But if we could work together with the diaspora into putting together a national agenda that will be pushing for with the US government, because whether or not we like it or we don't like it, the US government manage a lot of what's going on in Haiti. And we need their support into promoting ideas and a new political and a new political model. Unfortunately, for the US government, over the last 30 years, democracy has meant only one thing: presidential election.
Okay.
I give it to the other guy.
Just
talk. No, you can talk.
Democracy is not about presidential election. Democracy is about building political structure, political parties, and a different level of election at the local level, at the Congress level, and that has not taken place. We don't have today that political structure, and we don't have either an economic model that we all are together. I will give you one example of where the diaspora works better than the old country is Israel. The diaspora of Israel in the United States is what pushed the decision of the United States toward Israel. You have the role you can play if you put together yourself, your forces, your energy, behind ideas that will be pushed toward, including Haiti, but also outside of Haiti. The last thing I would say is that we have to all vote about the role of the diaspora in politics in Haiti. We want you $3.8 billion, but we refuse your participation in election. I think in the voting rights and in the election cycle, the diaspora has to also be accepted, be part of it, and bring their energy and their know-how of political wisdom. This is not working.
I think it's working now. Well, I have to say that what I find could be an important role for the diaspora to play, especially in the export, is to support the national production. I mean, what I mean is that I know that all of you are proud of the Asian products, but how much do you know? Where do you know that they are? It's for you to make some research and see there are good things that are going out of this country. And if by purchasing these items you increase the demand, you're just contributing in the job creation process.
I think it's a very good question because actually I talk about it in my book. That's the 18th reason in my book. I think that we didn't explore the diaspora connection enough in Haiti. And I think diaspora not only has the money, but they have the know-how. As I say, like 80% of the Haitian people who have at least a bachelor's degree leave the world. And third, they have the connection. Because we need connection to really bring investment in the country. And those people from the diaspora, they are closer to those people potentially who invest in Haiti. And fourth, they have influence. They as Dr. Below said, how the diaspora actually have influenced the decision that the U.S. government made in the 19th and during the Aristide coup d'etat, for example. So I think the problem is because the diaspora is not organized and there's not this common vision, and they have to the political rights not gonna be given, but they have to earn it. So that's the moment now for them to really think what's the best way to earn these rights. Because people in Haiti not gonna give it to you because you're challengers. So you have to understand that and then find the right way to earn it and make the impact that you would like to make in Haiti. Thank you.
So, listen, me, which I was saying, you saying this is what the diaspora is supposed to be doing, and the question was if you connected with any organization in the diaspora, what you doing to really bring the diaspora toward your vision, toward your goal, toward coming to Haiti? Is there an action? That's it. Because we can say, yes, diaspora need to do this, but I have to be part of the action. Understand, Leslie?
Yeah. Thank you, Leslie, for that. I need to get into Ariel's book, you know? I will disturb. Listen, my presence here is that I'm reaching out to the diaspora. That's the first thing. That's my first venture out of the country, talking about the things that I'm doing. So I'm here to talk to you and say, listen, guys, I want to listen to you. I want you to listen to me. There's an African term, I think it's foreign language, called badeni. It means mututladan. That's the first thing. So, whether last month, whatever you name it, we're all in this together. Because what happens in Haiti directly impacts your lives here in the States. Because just in the past 10 years, every time I go to the airport, the Haitian passport, you know, it's a shameful thing just to be carrying it around. But the problem is that it's the only one that I have, and I intend to keep it. Now, first thing, I need to have you as investors in Haiti. You're sending $3 billion in Haiti, but you're not getting the right result for your money. Imagine that $3 billion and they're not even listening to you. Go to the embassy the next day. Ask them for the database of the technician that we have in Haiti. What about the professors? The top staff, where are they located? Build the network. The Jewish money goes to 17 hands before it goes out to another community. How many of you are supporting your Haitian businesses? I'm reaching out to you. Put it together. Put your stuff together. Become the force. Go to the embassy. Insist on the changes that you want. You're not satisfied with what's happening at the embassy. My father's been a diplomat for like 40 years. And this is not what I saw. I've been at the embassies. What I used to see there is not what I'm seeing right now. Insist for a quality service because you're paying for it anyway. Alright? Those are the things that you need to do. Don't take no for an answer. Build yourself. What about a diaspora funding? Put a good growth fund in Haiti and support local businesses. I've seen agriculture. Invest in it. You're sending $150. Insist for the government to take part of that money and invest as a guaranteed fund to finance the people out of the rural areas. That's what you need to do. Get it together. Reaching out to you, the minute you build that coalition, the people in Haiti that are the reserves of the country will get access to you. They won't be far. So I'm looking out for you, looking out for me. Thank you.
I'm going along with what this teacher said because I think we're on the same path. When I take a look at what's happening in Haiti, is that the diaspora sends over $3.2 billion to Haiti. But when I take a look at what the money does, the money goes to waste. First of all, the money, most of that money goes to the DR because we bought most of our stuff from the DR. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when I take a look at, for instance, everybody knows Jalousie, what they call by Jalousie. When I take a look at the mountain, I look at those houses being built. And those houses, some of them cost over $200,000. And that money only comes from the diaspora. So basically, all those monies invested from the diaspora is going to waste because those houses cannot be used as equity. Those houses are just lost and need to be teared down. So I truly believe, and I've been a board member of many organizations in the diaspora advocating those kind of investments. And I believe that the one way to do it, as this just mentioned, is to put yourself together, create a fund, and don't go individually investing in Haiti and lose your money. I think it's time for us Haitians to get organized. Thank you.
I think we're going to go for some questions.
Hello?
The guy is going to help us.
So, a couple of questions. There was a question, well, to address the comment about how do we earn these rights? Well, we've been the lifeline of the country for how many years? So I think we've earned the right to partake in Haiti's socioeconomic and political discourse. So I'll start there. List one strategy to reduce corruption, to improve trust in the diaspora so that we can bring our money and feel like it will actually result in something. So if each of you can just list one strategy, that would work.
One simple thing. We have to change the law because today tax evasion is not a crime in Haiti, contrary to the United States. You don't pay your taxes, you go back 5 years after you pay them, you get a penalty, and that's fine. So at the end of the day, everybody will take that chance. Don't pay. If they catch me one day, I will pay the penalty. There is no jail time, there is no punishment, there is no crime when you don't pay your taxes. Corruption costs Haiti, I've said it before, $500 billion between contraband and tax evasion. We need that modification of the law so that we criminalize tax evasion in Haiti.
I think that one thing that is important is not only the law but also the order. I'd like to say that it's unacceptable that you don't have any institution to protect your investment. And I'm talking about this as a Haitian investor. And it's unacceptable for anybody who's putting their money down not to have anybody to fight for their rights. And I think that is something that has to be addressed before you feel confident that you're not putting your investment at high risk.
When we look at the history, we just realize that corruption is something that we built and we have chosen as a model of governance in Haiti. And it's clear. So it's very difficult to expect that you can change it from day to day because it's like it's been part of the culture right now. It's like if you're not corrupted, you may be stupid. And it's everywhere, private sector, in government, even in NGOs, everywhere. And you feel like this, nobody actually really cares about this change. Because in my book, I give an example of the 1903 who said that was really national. And I realized that from that time, it's like in 100 years, that the first time we had a condemnation about corruption problem in Haiti for 100 years. And what happened? 3 of the people who have the condemnation from that time became president of Haiti right after that. So that means it's like a culture that we probably gonna live with, and it's gonna be very difficult for us to fight against it. But I don't think it's just about the laws, but it's mostly to really make sure that we apply the laws, law enforcement. But again, the system that we have today lives with it, is a part of it. So to take corruption out, for me, is to destroy this current system that we have right now, and to build another new system with a new model that cares about Haiti and its people. Thank you.
That's a very difficult question, and I wish I had a very good answer. But let me approach it from a systematic point of view. The first thing I have to acknowledge that the First Republic is dead. If people are nostalgic of the First Republic, it's dead. We've got to build together a second republic. Is where you're at. Because how can you apply the laws if the judge is corrupted? How can you do that? All right? How can you go to a bank and get financing? I've been there for 35 years, and every bank has 3 sets of financial statements for every client. So responsible, the central bank, the bankers themselves, the client that's submitting that. Where do I start? So in terms of strategy. So we say we're going to build a new platform. That's fine. Let me talk more tactically in talking about strategy. I need one good act of good faith. And that act is called Peto Caribe. One good act. Peto Caribe. And this is where you can play a role. We need to have the truth be revealed about Peto Caribe, and we need to bring the people to justice. You need one good example. If you do one good example, trust me, and I'm very, very courageous to but you have to do it in a very ethical manner, in a professional manner. We're not chasing people here and back and forth. We need to do it because we want to get to the truth in facts, what really happened with the 4 billion or 3 billion or 2 billion. See, I don't even have a specific number. Because the same people that are assessing the problem are also part of the problems. So how to get around that? The diaspora can do and help with that. You can pressure your congressman to find out what happened. You can tell them to put a lot of leverage in the Haitian government to have this one case at least bring to light and do the necessary thing. It's going to be very difficult once you have all the truth and the facts not to pursue these people. They won't be able to run away far. So it's not strategy, it's really tactic. Thank you.
Thank you. Ask that, we have a lot of questions. My timekeeper, chop chop.
When hearing everybody speaking, my take has been lately that Haitians have not agreed to one thing or to two things. We all have disagreed to multi issues. I believe that the day where we start looking at the country into a positive footnote, well, this is what we can do, everybody will find their place in the country. I believe that good governance is a must today. Because as you know, as I noticed myself, the youth, they each have a smartphone and they know exactly what's going on. So I would advise a lot of the people in government to do the right thing, because before you do the wrong thing, it's out there and everybody knows what's going on. I believe that it can only be political for Haiti, and I'm very optimistic for the future. I think that there's no way Haiti is going to remain the way it is. We ought to go forward, and we need to get to an agreement where we say, okay, this is the direction we're going. The same way that what that did is development. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this question is for Dr. Munoz. Why is this intractable to make sustainable changes? Why is it so intractable to make sustainable changes in Haiti? How do we reverse the current trend? Does the third way advocate an overthrow of the current system?
There is no doubt about it, and I think Ezra will talk about it a little bit. And this is really the demand of the youth of Haiti today. Rock the boat. When we do the town hall meeting we do with the young people in Haiti, they say very clearly, it's time to cast the system. Because the system sustains itself. And if you think you can change the system by just improving it, it won't work. I think it has a problem with it. So, I want you, but I think that's a system we're trying to change. The microphone system. In fact, there are two ways to change the system. Either an insurrection, which is a revolution, or you do revolution by the ballots. And I like to tell an example that probably some of my friends in the US would not like. But Mr. Chavez, who established the Revolution Bolivarian, did it by the ballots. He didn't do any insurrection. He won an election. The first election he won was square. He won it. And I think we can change the system if we organize ourselves into political parties. Think about this. Not one president who has been elected over the last 4 years had a political party before they got elected. Mr. Mevo created 4 parties during 5 years of his presidency. Mr. Martelly created 2 political parties. It's not the political parties that brought the president. It's the president who brought the political party. This is the one big change we have to do in Haiti.
So, I didn't volunteer to only be the one to talk. So you can ask the question yourself, just to clarify, because I know people have been giving me cards. I know you all can't be that shy. So we're going to take a question from the audience, and then I'll go back to the cue cards. Okay? So we have Mr. Giselle, and then this gentleman here. And you have 30 seconds to respond to the question.
Good afternoon. My name is Justin Glazier. I have a question for Dr. Boulos. Dr. Boulos, as Mr. Hippolyte talked about how the diaspora can help, one of the ideas that came to my mind is how can we create a mechanism where the diaspora can purchase food, for example, just as we do transfer money to Haiti for our people. For example, you have many supermarkets in Haiti. Instead of sending people money, why can we create a mechanism where people can actually purchase food directly to your supermarket or any other supermarket that want to be part of this chain? The second question that I have also is for Mr. Gervais. Indeed, we cannot develop a country without energy because so many other sectors depend on it, like transportation, education, job creation, etc. Right now, as we know, one second. Right now, as we know, we have mainly one work shift in Haiti, meaning from 9 to 5. Almost no night shift in Haiti. In your mind, what can we do in order to actually change the energy sector in Haiti? What can we do to reverse the trend with the blackout 24/7? Thank you.
I would start by saying that, in fact, I think the model you're talking about does exist with some of the money transfer company. You can use them to buy food and transfer food. But I don't think that's really the main element we need. In fact, it would be good if that money would be used when they get to Haiti to purchase food produced naturally. I told you I have a problem with it. I don't want to hold it anymore. That's a problem. Is the way I move it? Okay. Because I talk a lot with my hands also. But I think we need to foster national production. We cannot continue to import 70% of the food. And it's very simple. We can do it with rice by increasing just productivity. We can do it with flowers by exporting flowers, such as the Dominican Republic. We really need national production is our job number one.
All right, it's the energy question. All right, it's costing us about $400 to $500 million a year. So we have some choices to make. I'm part of a group for National Civil Energy who put up some proposal that the government is currently following in terms of opening up the market. Today, EDH is no longer has a monopoly on the market. Maybe they'll be transforming them into a regulator later on. What's happening here is that you have a big offering for 50 small grids in Haiti. And smaller grids, and after that, the bigger grids. Basically, I'm going to say something that's against the status quo. Electricity problem. No electricity, all right? So, to resolve the $500 million deficit, you need to do a number of things. The first thing, you need to have a social deal. Because people have to voluntarily want to stop the fraud for you to be able to solve it. You cannot do it with the military, all right? Because it's a problem that's been there and that you have to solve it in a different fashion. Well, I have made a proposal to the World Bank in terms of an investigation I had done. I have to say that they still haven't paid me, by the way. The World Bank. You can quote me on that one. But what we found out is the problem was as much inside EDH as it was inside the communities. Because there's something called Gojera, and these people were issuing invoices for EDH and getting paid for EDH whether or not they were not EDH. And that's what's costing us so much money, and the problem with the line that has not been structured. Opening up the market is one way to do it, and as far as solving this problem, and getting the private sector involved. It's a really big industry, we can get into it. Change the energy matrix in terms of biomass, because we're importing too much petroleum. You've seen what's happening with the gas line. And the last thing is education about the energy. Energy saving, you have to do a whole program of education. If not, the people will still think we have the shoeberries time. I don't know if you have been short enough.
Yeah.
Stability. Do you think stability is the most important thing? Because if we feel that the country has no problem, we will all come and invest. Tourists will come,
all right.
etc.,
I'll go
etc. Nobody talk about stability.
Stability can only come when you have social balance. If one group feels that they are being overexploited, they will not give you any stability. And you cannot do it through elections. Trust me. You get to make a deal. And you have to recognize the needs of these people that you are producing, that the state that you have, the government, is at the service of the population, not as a threatening force that's pushing these people in the corner. You got to talk. You got to open the channels of communication. And you have, and you'll have security. With 10,000 police officers, this is a self-police country. What can you do with 10,000 police? Half of them are already corrupted. People are policing themselves.
The next question, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have a comment first, if that's okay.
Microphone
is on your. Oh, here. Yes. Thank you. I have a comment first. Dr. Boulos, I listened to your 4 points, and you were on point, but you missed 2 major things. The systemic and systematic marginalization of more than 75% of Haitians since 1804. And the next thing is the concentration of power, production, and the means of production in the hands of a few. You cannot not talk about those things. I like that you guys talk about solutions. We are tired of listening to problems. We know what they are. So you are here. Thank you, ma'am, for representing women so well. We are here because of that. So my question to the panel is, what is each and every one of you willing to do, able to do, to bring about the political change that will support your visions? Because without the right environment, they will die. I'm sorry.
Let's start with Mr. Puneet first here.
I hear you. Yes, I just think that the government is too heavy in Haiti. And there's no reason why 27,000 square kilometers needs to have 100 and so many people, like in Congress, in the Senate. Most of the money goes to those people's pocket. I think the money needs to go to the people's pocket, not their pocket. I truly believe that there's a lot of changes that need to happen within the Constitution. This Constitution was very emotional, and I think now we need to sit down and review it. I truly believe that the justice system needs a big review as well. And once we have all those things in place and we spend the money wisely, I think that Haiti has enough money to develop itself.
Okay,
I'm next? Okay, all right. I don't want to add to Gilbert's statements in terms of the fundamental changes. Throughout the Constitution, throughout what we have here, we don't need that many senators or congressmen. It's a known fact. People know it's too heavy, it's too costly, we cannot afford it. It's a big deficit. Let me tell you, I'm going to add the wealth. I'm going to take 7.4% of the territory, that's 2,000 kilometers square foot, and I'm going to plant 20 million trees. On the 4th year, I'm going to have $30 per tree. On the 7th year, I have $50 per tree. If you take $50 and multiply by 20 million trees, that's $1 billion. I'm already at 1/3 of the things that of your transfers. And that's why I create wealth, stability, reforestation, people will stay in rural areas, and creating jobs. So I'm working with the youth, which is the future of Haiti. What I've done, I've created a 1 million tree corporation. And some of the trees that are being planted is a corporation for the youth, so they become business owners. It's not just social responsibility. So 20 million trees, $1 billion in 7 years, I can do it. They can do it, not me, it's for the youth. Thank you.
The panel has been through the question. Please, Mr. Ian.
I have to go back to my presentation. I was talking about wealth creation. Actually, the big missing part of the process, because the economy is being trapped by political instability. We talk about. It's like political become the most important thing. That's the priority. To talk about election, even for now, in 2019, and everybody talk about 2022. The thing is about being in power, win the election, but nobody actually focus on wealth creation. So when exactly we'll have the chance is when wealth creation will be at the center of the conversation. And actually, we're going to start talking about other stuff like investment, like export, like production, and all that. But it's not the center of the discussion right now. When you listen to the radio, when you go to meetings, people are not interested about that. Everyone want to be in power. Everyone want to maintain the power. Everyone want to give the power to the friends or colleague. No one talking about creation of wealth. No one talking about growth. And that's the issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I'd like to say is that if I understood the question correctly, is all that we're talking about tonight, if we don't have the right environment, we will fail. I think that what we need to do is get involved. All of us. We shouldn't stop being afraid of being involved in politics. And everybody have their cards to play. When are we going to be actively responsible, and how can we, each one of us, be on board for real change in this country? This is what I think you asked the question.
I fully agree, and I will say two things. One, there's always that debate. What comes first, politics or economics? It's clear that politics come first. South Korea, Dominican Republic, Indonesia, Rwanda, politics came first, and then the economic development. Secondly, to answer your question, I'll put my head outside today. I'm building a movement called the Movement de la Troisième Voie, and it requires, it brings with it a lot of danger, a lot of risk. But I think if all of us, we don't do that, we stay home, and every Saturday night we complain about the country and we solve the problem, we will not go everywhere. Today, it's time for all of us to put our head out, to confront the danger, and the diaspora also. You have a major role to play in building the national agenda that I talk about, and so that we can all be together on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Good evening to the panelists. Good evening, everybody. My name is Albert Decady. I'm an attorney, and I'm part of many organizations. One of them that I want to mention is HRA and the United Front. In the United Front, we are working to change the constitution in Haiti. Many of the instabilities that we talk about stems from the constitution in Haiti. That one of them we can mention is the many times that we have to go to a different prime minister. Every 3 months we have the different prime minister. So what is the panel's view on the constitution as a problem and the need for it to be changed, knowing that there was a commission working on the constitution, and in this last session they will actually take the constitution amendments, which the United Front had actually submitted a document of 65 pages of changes to the Constitution. How is the Constitution, and especially to Dr. Boulos in the third voie, how do you see the role of the Haitian diaspora as we change the Constitution? Would the panelists support the diaspora, whether we are Haitians or Haitian Americans or any other nationality that we have taken, to be able to hold any offices in Haiti as part of the new constitution?
Thank you very much for giving me a chance to talk about that. First of all, let me tell you that I'm totally against constitutional reform. I'm for a new constitution. I'm not going to give this parliament the chance to make it even worse for us. In fact, one of the things they're talking about is against you. Because one of the things they're talking about is not anymore about double nationality. It's to hold certain office, you have to be born in Haiti. That's what they're talking about. So in fact, they want to shrink even more the pool of political leaders. We need to fight, all of you need to fight for a new constitution that allows the double nationality, because all your children are born in the United States from Haitian parents. They have the right to the Haitian nationality, they have the right to the US nationality, and you bring so much in terms of modern thinking and modern, I would say, framing of the political landscape that you would help change Haiti. But the regular traditional politician doesn't want that. So please, don't push for political reform, because you will get worse than what you're fighting for. Thank you.
Madam Kyoto has had her hand up for quite a while.
Oh, okay, just a second. I think you had the question for the panel. Then you said specifically Dr. Boulos, right? You okay now?
I wanted to know the view of the diaspora. Since you because I actually did have a question for Ms. Dress. I'm an intellectual property attorney. How do you see intellectual property to help you promote the Haitian arts in the world?
Well, thank you so much, and I will just follow up with you later today, because it's a very big important point for us, because when we create something, there's no way to protect it. And what we do to continue being alive is continue creation, and it's not fair. And I'm glad that you are a lawyer in that sense, and I would like to have your thoughts and views in how we can help this craft sector protect themselves in the future.
Okay. Next question.
Yes. Before that, I would like to say something. every time you see something in Haiti, you think it's a bad thing in your perspective or in the Haiti perspective, but that's really a bad thing for the actors. For example, you say it's bad every time, every 6 months, you have a new prime minister. We all know that. That's a part of the instability. But let me tell you something. That's the best moment for congressmen to make money. So they will make it happen every 6 months. Because that's the best moment for them to make money. So nobody cares about you talk about stability or whatever you call it. So that's why I say, and I'm gonna say it again, we have to move to a new era, a new system of new generation of people, of leaders, because those leaders right now are so corrupted and they don't have Haiti in mind and in their heart. Thank you.
Okay, just from a just from a format standpoint, I don't think it's necessary for every panelist to answer the question, especially if it's asked directly to a specific speaker, because we have a lot of other questions, a lot of other people that would like to ask, just to kind of, if it's pressing you to respond, then fine, but you don't have to feel obligated to answer. Okay, thank you. So we have Natalie.
Yes, so my name is Nathalie Yoto. I am actually a board member of the Haiti Renewal Alliance, advisory board member of the National Association of the Advancement of Haitian Professionals, and Haitian American. What are the questions I have for the panel? I've been listening very intently to what everybody's been saying, and everybody has some very good points. But I think we are forgetting a little bit sort of the history over the last 15, 20 years. There are few of us who have worked in Haiti and on Haiti for that long, have worked tirelessly, for example, to create opportunities for creating collateral for people in Guajalousi, so that, it created a law. The law has been in a cabinet since 1999. One of the things that I'm concerned about is, how do you prioritize? Because what's the priority? Is it education? Is it energy? Is it industry? Is it health? Is it education? The point that I'm trying to make, there's so many priorities. How do you prioritize those priorities? Somebody mentioned that, about, discussions. There have been previous studies done by Haitians in Haiti and discussions done about how to move forward certain opportunities, whether it's through the free trade zones of the America, whether it's through education and justice, and whether it's on agriculture. All these documents are there. So when you're asking us to participate, and I think people have been participating, they're trying to participate, and I agree, we all need to participate. We also need to stop going for president. We need to go for the smaller offices. So I would like your opinion, panel, to tell me, I see this, but I want to know, how do you prioritize within all the priority needs?
Okay, so Jeff, microphone.
All right. How do I prioritize? I'll tell you what. Let me start defining the roles. Today, what you have here is the Parliament, Congressmen. They are doing executive jobs. Every municipality has a mayor, and his job is to develop his community. So this is what you have. You're having the congressmen, the senators, trying to develop the community. So it's come to the political situation to start with. Like Dr. Bruno said, you have to have a new constitution, so on and so forth. There are so many perfect laws or beautiful laws in Haiti that are being applied. You got to change entirely the constitution. And you've got to have a country where the rule of the law is respected. If you don't have those basic fundamentals and start with impunity, listen, your money will never be saved. So while you're doing this, but you have to inform people. You need the right program in terms of education. You have to reform your education system. It's no longer what it needs to do, face the challenge of the 21st century. Take the digital divide. It's so expensive to have internet. It's a vast program. When you bring the internet at the speed you want in all the areas inside the country, that will have these people interact with what's happening overseas and in different parts of the world. Education through different means. And the school program, change it. The civic reality of the country, or youth,
What you've learned when you were a child in Haiti is no longer existent. You got to start with the basic, ABC.
Merci, monsieur. No, excuse me. Thank you.
Sorry.
And like, please, we have some people that have questions.
Let's do it in 30 seconds.
There's a best-selling author called Dawamasi Muku. He wrote a book called Why Nations Fail. And it's pretty clear. So there's one thing that makes the difference between a poor country and a rich country called institutions. For me, the priority should be to build institutions. Institutions mean for me not only law, but also the respect of the law. So if we can't get that to the rule of law, we can't build economy, we can't build tourism sector, we can't build energy sector, we can't do right education for the people. So for me, the priority should be to build that rule of law, and then we will go from there. Thank you.
Questions again, so say that there's an urgency. The urgency is to have the right people at the right place. You need answers. And so far, we can't have that conversation because people who are supposed to give you the answers are not at their place. They're incompetent. And I think that goes against my first point, implication. People with talents, with competence has to be on board.
In fact, we just saw here why we don't have a national agenda. We each have an idea of what's priority. We need first to have a national agenda. I will take again 2 countries. Dominican Republic had the Atali report, which was the way forward. Every government that came followed that line. They defined the priority, they followed that. Rwanda, Mr. Kagame called Harvard University, said, help me drive a plan for the next 30 years. And he's been following the plan. We don't have a plan. We all have our own ideas. We need to define a plan, and a plan that's shared by all the Asian from the diaspora and Haiti. Once we have that national agenda, we will move forward with progress.
I totally agree with Dr. Bulos. I definitely agree that we need to have a common agenda. And that's what I was saying earlier. And that's where we confront that. We say, what do we want for the country? Because every time I hear Haitian speaking is negatively, we need now to address it positively and say that this is what we want the country to be. And I think we'll head there. Thank you.
Yeah, so my name is Dale Joseph. I am with the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce of Florida, and my question really has to, will be addressed to Magali. And I would like to hear Mr. Gervais' thought on that same question as well. It has to do with economic development and job creation. Magali, I think at the beginning with your expose, I've never heard anybody articulate what the potential is there for handmade craft, arts and craft. And that was just fantastic. So my question to you is, although we are talking about solutions, in terms of the challenges that you are facing within that industry, outside of energy and building capacity, talking about brick and mortar, can you tell us what are the 3 biggest challenges that you are facing within that space? And I'll throw it back to Mr. Gervais, within the banking system in Haiti, what reform needs to be done there to facilitate more exports out of Haiti into the part of the world?
Thank you so much. The first constraint that we have for exporting craft is the image of this country. People perceive Haiti as a country of samples that we can't deliver. It's having a constant fight for me to prove that we are serious, we can deliver, and we can grow. Second biggest constraint that we face is financing. When you go to a trade show and you have a purchase order that could reach $300,000, you need to have the strength to finance it and wait for you to receive your money 60 days after receipt of the containers. And this is something that blocks people to enter the sector. The third one that I would have to add is the very difficult access to market. It's pretty impossible for a small company to be present at these major trade shows. And there's an urgency for us again to put ourselves together and have a Haiti panel, a Haiti pavilion in all of these shows. Because it is not my responsibility to promote my country. It's not my responsibility to promote the arts and crafts sector as a private company.
Thank you. One of the best exports we currently have is you in the diaspora. So whenever you go somewhere, you are within a certain community. the way you hold yourself, the way you talk about Haiti makes a major difference. So you are the first representative of Haiti. So it's very important. You don't have to leave it to the embassies or the consulate. You are an ambassador every time you step because you have a country in difficulty. Exports. There are a number of financial facilities available, and I'd like to work with Magali on that and help her out. What you have is that there is already a subsidized credit facility from the central bank that goes to the banking sector that will finance either your accounts receivables, or your production for exports. The loan is being given at 3% to the local banks, and I'm obliged to lend it to you at 5%. When the inflation rate is 17%, you get a credit facility at 5%, and it's guaranteed for over 14 years. So it's a long-term loan, so you solve your capitalization problem. You have a long-term loan in your balance sheet. You have a loan that's subsidized, basically way under the inflation rate. So these are some of the programs that the central bank has put together that need to be encouraged and brought up to everyone's attention and build from that. You can bring a number of other things, but fundamentally, these people have the credit problems. So when you facilitate the credit facilities, you will see the growth and the development of the population.
Mr. Chairman, I think Magali wants to say something.
There's one big thing that I like to say. The development of this product was done 2 years ago, and we benefited from it. But I want you to know that this has been reviewed, and it's no longer that interest rate, and it require guarantees on your own private equity or your houses. So I think this needs to be reviewed.
You probably have this change going to a commercial bank. You need to go to a development bank. So if yes, for example, I'm a board member, I don't know about FDI, which is the Foreign Development Industry. We have not changed our policy regarding to that. So I would love to talk to you about that later. This is a little business here on the side. Thank you.
Okay, we have questions here.
Louis Dupont, professeur d'économie à l'Université des Antilles en Guadeloupe. Alors, ces quelques mots sont d'abord pour vous féliciter pour cette excellente initiative que vous avez prise pour débattre sur la problématique du développement en Haïti. Alors, ma question, c'est une question qui me brûle les lèvres depuis quelques minutes. Elle s'adresse à l'auteur de l'ouvrage sur l'idée qu'Haïti a décidé d'être pauvre. Alors, ma question, elle est la suivante. Quelles sont les principales étapes que vous vous êtes fixées pour permettre à Haïti d'atteindre un stade de développement qui soit acceptable, sachant que Haïti, comme la plupart des pays à revenus faibles, c'est-à-dire des pays que l'on considère comme les moins avancés, sachant qu'il n'y a pas 36 stratégies, il n'y en a que 2. Celle qui consiste à produire pour satisfaire en priorité les besoins fondamentaux de la population, c'est-à-dire la population la plus démunie, et celle qui est axée sur le commerce international. Et là, il y en a 2. Une stratégie de substitution des importations par des productions locales, avec un exemple très simple. Au lieu d'importer du chocolat, on utilise le cacao local, on le produit et on l'exporte. Ça, c'est la première. Et la deuxième stratégie, c'est la stratégie de promotion des exportations, qui consiste à produire et à exporter. Alors, à partir de là, c'est très simple. Quelles sont les priorités que vous vous êtes fixées, selon quel scénario et en fonction de quel calendrier de réalisation? Alors voilà, ce sont les questions que je voulais poser.
En fait,
en anglais.
Go ahead. In my book, I was talking about the choices we made for the last 30 years. And I gave 20 examples that authorized me to make that statement. Go ahead.
Est-ce qu'on peut parler pour une affaire, s'il vous plaît? Parle en français. Non, on se lance.
Yeah. Dans mon ouvrage, il est question de parler des choix économiques et politiques qui ont été faits au cours des 30 dernières années et pour moi qui n'ont pas permis à Haïti de choisir la voie du progrès économique. Maintenant, étant donné qu'on n'a pas choisi la voie de la croissance, de la richesse et du progrès, ce que j'ai interprété comme un choix de la pauvreté. Maintenant, les étapes qui devraient être utilisées pour faire le saut qualitatif vers le progrès, pour moi, c'est d'inverser les choix qu'on avait faits au cours des 30 dernières années. Et on pourrait prendre l'exemple de l'exportation que vous avez mentionné tout à l'heure. Et l'exemple le plus intéressant, c'est l'île Maurice. L'île Maurice, dans les années 68, indépendante, a été une économie pauvre, forte de chômage, avec une production monotone et monoculture de sucre. Ils ont essayé justement la stratégie de croissance de l'exportation pour produire les biens qu'ils importaient mais aussi les exporter. Et aujourd'hui, l'île Maurice, c'est l'économie africaine la plus stable. Donc cela veut dire que quelque part, il faut qu'on arrive à choisir. Aujourd'hui, on n'a rien choisi comme stratégie. Donc, ne pas choisir, c'est un choix. C'est exactement ce choix qu'on a fait en Haïti. Donc, si vous me demandez quel modèle économique qu'on a aujourd'hui, je vais vous dire, je ne suis pas au point qu'un modèle économique. Donc, on n'a pas choisi ni la substitution, ni la croissance de l'exportation, ni aucun modèle. On est là, on continue à vivre, on fait des élections, on fait la corruption, il n'y a pas de sanction, il n'y a pas de modèle. Donc, il est clair que ça devrait être justement un modèle, on a le potentiel pour produire et aussi pour exporter. Mais pas exporter les mêmes denrées qu'on a l'habitude d'exporter, le même schéma de ce qu'on appelle l'agriculture primaire, cacao, café, banane, mais ce qu'on appelle aujourd'hui dans l'économie, les biens sophistiqués. Et c'est pour ça qu'il est important d'associer agriculture et industrie de ce qu'on appelle l'agro-industrie. Sinon, on va être comme Côte d'Ivoire qui produit du cacao, mais c'est la Suisse qui fait de l'argent avec le cacao qui n'a pas de cacao. Merci.
Okay. Let's establish a little order. You have 30 seconds to ask your question and we limit the answers to 2 minutes. 1 minute, 1 minute. So we have a timekeeper, he will signal you when the time is up because we have probably a lot of questions going, so we need to make sure that everybody has our time.
Not every speaker has to answer it, so that we can get, because there are like 6 other people.
Je vais ajouter un mot à la question pour laisser un peu la question du professeur. D'accord. Sans augmenter la production agricole, je peux changer, ajouter de la valeur à ce que nous faisons actuellement. En passant de ce que nous faisons comme commerce à vraiment de la négoce. Et par là, je veux dire les échanges qui sont standardisés, systématisés. À partir de là, je peux récupérer déjà 30% de la production qui est gaspillée à travers la transportation et des échanges qui sont imparfaits. Très simplement, sans même avoir augmenté la capacité de production. Et là, le gouvernement a un rôle à jouer parce qu'on peut garantir les achats à travers les établissements d'État, si vous voulez, les magasins d'État et tout ça. Mais le point, c'est que l'agriculteur qui produit, c'est qu'il a déjà un marché garanti et les échanges sont standards. Mais là, quand les échanges sont standards, on a maintenant des contrats. À partir des contrats, on peut aller à la banque. Ça augmente la valeur de la production locale.
Thank you. My name is Rudy. I'd like to thank the panel for the great talk you guys are talking about, educating us about the economic system, the political system, and also the diaspora, the youth. But most importantly, you guys are talking about the diaspora. And I wanted to take it to a deeper level to talk about what you guys know about the diaspora. Personally, I've been a former banker, and I'm investing myself in the diaspora. The I-95, I'm on it every week now. You can catch me in Maryland, you can catch me in Philly, Delaware, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey. And what I'm learning from the diaspora, I hate to say it first. The $3 billion that we're investing in this country is not investment.
Sir, excuse me, you have 30 seconds to say that.
I'm coming to my question. My thing is that the diaspora, that $3 billion, there's no investment in it. Basically, I found out it's an informal welfare system that we have in our country. And this informal welfare system is degenerating the productivity of our fellow Haitians back home. And my question is, what do you guys have a mission about, and how do we leverage technology to empower the diasporas back home to the families in Haiti? I see fintech, I see financial technology, leveraging credit scores on a digital platform, and that's what we're trying to do, how to connect the diaspora directly with a local farmer. And how is technology part of any of your guys' future right now for the country's development?
Thank you. Mr. Boulay, then we'll have...
That's exactly what I've been talking about. You know, you need to get organized, you need to create a fund, and the fund can have diversities, you know, so we could invest in agriculture, we can invest in housing, we can invest in ports. Haiti needs everything today. So that money that you're sending, instead of sending that money, it could be sustainable. So I mean, that not only by doing that, you're creating employment, so you're putting money in people's pocket, and besides that, you get your return on investment. So I think that's where we need to go. Not just send money and buy motorcycles for people to break their legs. And I think it's not helping Haiti.
Okay. Dr. Ross, please.
First of all, I must say I do disagree with you in the sense that it's not degenerating anything. It's a welfare system that's needed because every country has a welfare system. We don't have a welfare system in Haiti. So you are the welfare system. And we need it. So we should not say we don't need it. What's the problem is that what it's being used for, the commodities is buying, it's not produced locally. And that's what we need to change. So in fact, we continue to need that welfare system. It is good for us, but we're not giving any opportunity for these people when they receive the money to either invest and have the support to invest with it, or to buy products that are produced locally.
Excuse me. I believe
we can talk after that if you want.
Jean-Claude was waiting for his question for some time.
We have 4 people in the audience asking questions.
Good evening. I'm going to try to stay within my 30 seconds, but it might be 40 seconds. But I want to take a try for hosting such a wonderful meeting to discuss what's important for Haiti. I want to thank my friend here, Leslie Santi, for taking such an important role in this meeting this afternoon. And my name is Jude Jean-Gilles. I'm an engineer, an administrator, and an investor. I'm the CEO of Jupana Resort Hotel. I've been investing in Haiti for the past 10 years. As I speak, I have 30 people working on my construction site with $0 from the banks in Haiti, no support at all from the government, but I am going to succeed no matter what. And I want people from the diaspora to know that all stock is not going to do anything for you. You need to get up, go to Haiti, and start investing and doing what you have to do. They are not going to help you. You need to know that. What I'm going to say is more important than what I've already said.
Okay.
I'm convinced that the main Haitian problem is the mass exodus of Haitians from the place of residence, which is Haiti. Too many of us have left the country. The brain power has left. The ones that stay in Haiti, they're not enough to develop the country. We need to go back. The second point I want to make is we need the diaspora to go back. We must propose for the first time a program for immediate political action. And I come here today to meet Dr. Boulos with the third way, la troisième voie. So the diaspora, we need to be empowered. We are tired of taxation without representation. So we need to start organizing ourselves and put the government
Yes, good evening. And yeah, it's a question. And I think that it was partially answered also, but I'll show you anyway. First of all, thank you, gentlemen and lady, for being here tonight. I'm Jean-Claude Eugène. Some people know me as a singer, but I'm also an economist, and I work in international finance for the US government. Now, I heard quite a few minutes ago the word wealth creation. We all know that wealth creation is local. We have to produce locally and sell locally. So in order to do that, do your thing, and I would see Mr. Jorge and Dr. Boulos, maybe I would select the two of you to give a quick answer on that. Do you think we have what it takes in Haiti to produce what we need, the basic needs? I'm not talking about automobiles, anything like that, but the basic needs for the society, and the power to buy what we produce, and the protection of the government to facilitate that growth, that creation of wealth.
Je peux vous répondre en français?
Oh, bien sûr.
Parce que ça me permet de répondre aussi au professeur qui avait posé la question. Oui, nous pouvons le produire. Ce qu'on a raté, c'est qu'on a raté l'ère de la protection. Lorsque tous les pays avaient leur c'est moi vraiment qui a un problème. Lorsque tous les pays avaient leurs barrières, la République dominicaine a fermé ses frontières pendant 30 ans pour développer sa production nationale. Nous devons refermer notre frontière. Nous devons faire ce que Trump nous demande de faire aujourd'hui avec les États-Unis. Je vais vous donner quelques exemples. D'abord les œufs. Nous importons 1,2 million de la République dominicaine chaque jour. Nous pouvons produire à travers 20 centres de production de ces œufs, 50 000 œufs chacun, ce 1,2 million. Le problème est celui-ci. Quand on va commencer, nous n'aurons pas l'économie d'échelle. Donc nous devons les protéger. Et c'est pour ça que je suis venu avec un mot, ça s'appelle la protection temporaire sélective. C'est-à-dire nous choisissons les produits pour lesquels nous pouvons être compétitifs, nous les allons à des zones bien déterminées. On n'a pas besoin de faire du riz partout, on n'a pas besoin de faire de la banane partout. Comme vous le savez, l'Arcaïa était le centre de la production de la banane et le riz, l'Artibonite, était le centre de la production du riz. Il faut revenir à ces centres de production, il faut établir des barrières, et je vais vous donner un exemple de ce que nous avons perdu. J'ai un ami qui avait une usine de bougies en Haïti. La bougie ne paie pas de droits de douane, mais la cire et le fil paient des droits de douane. Donc en fait, c'est une législation qui est contre la production. Il a déplacé son usine, il a été la mettre en République dominicaine. Il est aujourd'hui le plus grand producteur de bougies dans toute l'Amérique latine, 50 millions de dollars. Voilà ce que nous perdons parce que nous n'avons pas les stratégies qu'il faut.
D'accord. Si nous devons produire, il faudra réaménager le territoire. J'avais parlé de ça au niveau de principe. Il faut reordonnancer le territoire national. Il y a des zones qui sont dédiées pour l'agriculture et tout ça, il faudra faire une séparation nette et claire. Je vais vous dire par exemple, la production de canne va disparaître d'ici moins de 10 ans. Moins de 10 ans, ça va disparaître. La plaine de sac, la production est pratiquement zéro. Ce qui se passe à Léogane, dans 5 ans, on ne pourra plus porter la canne à sucre. L'usine sucrière d'Arbonne est fermée depuis presque 7 ans. Donc aujourd'hui, Barbancourt va importer son clairin pour pouvoir le distiller et vendre le rhum en Haïti. C'est à quoi vous faites face. Donc il faudra réaménager le territoire et les zones métiers de l'agriculture faire en sorte que ce soit joue le rôle. Les productions, oui. J'ai l'exemple du ciment, le clinker. On peut facilement, on a toutes les mines de clinker qu'il faut quand on importe au moins 50 millions de dollars de clinker chaque année. Avec une politique appropriée, il faut 200 millions de dollars pour faire un four à voie sèche et puis éventuellement prendre le clinker localement, le gypse et faire un produit totalement intégré. Nous ne faisons pas actuellement un produit semi-fermenté. Donc tout ça des politiques, des applications, garder le territoire pour pouvoir accéder à la production.
10 secondes. 10 secondes pour ajouter quelque chose. Ce qu'on a oublié, les principaux importateurs, ce sont les principaux financeurs des élections présidentielles. Donc voilà pourquoi Haïti est aujourd'hui le pays le plus ouvert de l'Amérique latine et de la Caraïbe avec des droits de douane les plus faibles. Parce que les gens qui importent, ce sont eux qui, ce qu'on appelle les faiseurs de président. Donc il faut changer le système encore une fois. Sinon, on sera toujours ce pays ouvert aux importations.
Laissez-moi poser une question à monsieur Hippolyte.
Je voulais ajouter une chose à ce que M. Gervais vient de dire. D'abord, c'est le seul pays de la Caraïbe qui n'a pas une cimenterie. Et nous avons seulement ce qu'on appelle le Red Mills. Nous avons tout Red Mills. Il n'y a pas de cimenterie en Haïti. Et c'est inacceptable. Vous ne pouvez pas développer un pays, vous ne pouvez pas développer vos logements, les routes, les highways, les ponts, sans avoir une cimenterie. En République dominicaine, moi je suis producteur de béton en Haïti. Et voilà comment je vends un mètre de béton à peu près à 160 $ le mètre cube, alors que la République dominicaine est à 85 $ le mètre cube. C'est inacceptable. Vous n'allez pas pouvoir développer le pays dans ce sens. Je suis aussi fait partie d'un groupe où vous connaissiez ce qu'on appelle dans le CISAL, pitre. On a repris l'industrie de pitre en Haïti. Et ça marche assez bien et nous exportons aujourd'hui. Et nous avons opération à la Banque intermédiaire de développement qui nous aide énormément. Et bien nous n'avons pas le support nécessairement du gouvernement. Et je pense que c'est très important parce que nous créons beaucoup d'emplois. Merci.
Mr. Hippolyte, you're at the company, you work at airports. What is the rate of employment since Jean-Claude mentioned the production has to be local, everything has to be local? What the company is doing regarding employment? Do you have enough la main-d'oeuvre?
Actually, after the earthquake, we did create an outlet, to have young people come and get to know the trades. Unfortunately, as you probably read my last interview with Lunovedis, where I mentioned that due to the fact that companies are not getting paid, and we're having a lot of difficulties because this is the first time I'm feeling that we're not having a government that's pro-business and that's pro-production. So today, we're having this difficulty because most of our workers that we've trained for the past years are leaving the country. And they're going either to Canada, Turks and Caicos, or the Dominican Republic. So, and we're living in a country that needs to be built, and we're losing our resources. It's very sad. Thank you.
Thank you. I got you, hold on. Madam Liz, the company, you're working with artisans. I believe that you said you have a group of people working for, but your products, are they outside of the country? You find a way to bring them to the diaspora, because we say the diaspora can help, the diaspora has the resources. So what are the difficulties that you encounter to export your products?
Okay, Carlos, in Berkeley, you asked me where my products are being distributed.
Okay.
We're for export only. I'm so proud of it. We don't sell locally unless you have visitors. But our goods are being sold in Williams Sonoma Groups, so West Elm, Restoration Hardware, Anthropology. These are the high-end stores that we work with. What are the second part of the question was the difficulties. Again, I'll say it. It's the access to markets. You need to be able to be present at every trade show, and it comes with a very high price. And that's why, again, I'm reaching out to the diaspora, because you could help us be ambassadors two ways: by buying the products in these high-end stores, or again, by promoting them, by sharing information on Instagram, Facebook. Spread the word. I mean, Haiti is producing high-quality goods for home, for kids, for accessories, and if you support this, you again will help us create more jobs.
Okay, let's go back to the questions.
Hello, my name is Winnie Gabriel. I was a lawyer and a journalist in Haiti, but I came here for my master's degree, and I will come back. Thank you for having this panel here. I think we are discussing a lot of great and important topic. My question is mostly for Dr. Bullets. Il y a un problème que nous gagnons actuellement en Haïti, c'est le fait que nous déconnecter. Il est très difficile pour nous engager dans une seule mission pour développer ça sur le national agenda, parce que tout le monde met dedans, même si nous prenons l'indépendance, nous sommes toujours engagés dans le marron, and everybody is afraid that si Marie m'a vu, on va quand même, nous ne pouvons pas faire la gagne au pire. Mais pendant la fait mauvais politique ça, le nom plus gros victime c'est jeunesse actuellement. Of course, un paquet de jeunes veulent quitter le pays, mais il y a un paquet de jeunes qui choisissent de rester dans le pays. Maintenant, quelle stratégie que nous gagnons pour qu'effectivement, jeunesse ça, qui choisit, qui fait pari que la paix en Haïti, comment que nous avons raison, permettre d'engager dans la vision ça, et que faire en sorte que nous développions le pays ça, parce que c'est mission pour nous. Au final, ça nous vient de développement. Quelle action que vous gagnez pour ça, pour que la jeunesse là, soit capable de préparer ça. Et puis deuxièmement, nous tous que diaspora participer dans le développement pays. Moi par contre, maintenant, comment 1, 2, 3, on prend pratique pour prochaine année ça, ou comment on voit ça pour jeunesse et puis diaspora tout.
Est-ce qu'il faut agir on va poser des questions et on n'a pas parlé de jeunesse, on a parlé de 3 jeunesses d'abord. La jeunesse universitaire, la jeunesse des ghettos et la jeunesse paysanne. Entre chaque séparément. La jeunesse universitaire a un rôle important pour jouer et qu'on va dire qu'à faire rapidement. Nous avons dit que la moyenne d'âge de la fonction publique est 53 ans. Donc ça veut dire qu'on bon monde a touché qui n'a pas qu'à travailler encore. On calcule que faut aider 25 000 personnes à la retraite de la fonction publique et faire rentrer les jeunes universitaires. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, dans la fonction publique, 27% seulement ont une formation universitaire. Pour la jeunesse des ghettos, il faut mettre en place dans tous les départements des écoles professionnelles pour nous améliorer en termes de maçonnerie, carrelage, électricité, plomberie, manicure, salon de beauté, pour que jeunes dames et jeunes messieurs soient capables de créer des issues. Pour faire ça, il faut qu'on mette un banque de développement pour les petites et moyennes entreprises qui permettent de nous joindre et accès à crédit. Et le troisième, c'est la jeunesse paysanne. Pas mon paysan aujourd'hui qui réfléchit que dans le petit lit pour relève ça la faire. Parce que l'on travaille pendant 50 ans, il n'y a pas même mon cas, il n'y a pas même mon machine, il n'y a pas rien. Il faut les encourager à retourner à la terre, et ceci, c'est par l'encadrement technique, le crédit agricole, la distribution de semences et d'engrais. Merci.
Okay, we have a question here in this order. If you have a question, raise your hand so we can see. So it's this gentleman, and then I think Mr. Sala. I think, okay, this is the way we're going to do it. Maybe you guys might need to stand online so that we know who's asking the question, because you're behind me, I can't see you. Okay, this gentleman.
Yes, hi, my name is George Lewis, CEO of the Char Foundation. I would like to basically ask the question. I would call for you guys, first of all, to come out here and show everybody respect. But the first question is, what are your plans on the 90% of people in Haiti that are illiterate? And the second question is, how are you planning to change the mentality of our people that's in Haiti? It could go for anyone you guys to answer the question.
Magali, you want to start with this?
I'm sorry, I just want to say something because it's actually really bothering me. Please address the speakers as Madame Dress or Mr. Jebet or Mr. Dr. Boulos. I'm noticing that you're calling her Magali, but everyone else is addressed appropriately. So let everyone in the audience as well as the moderator please address that. Thank you very much.
Did I understand the question you were talking about literacy?
No.
Education?
No, the literate people.
Yes, okay. Let me tell you that Haiti is probably the country where there is the greatest social injustice in terms of education. The reason I say this is that in terms of percentage of revenues of the family, Haiti is the country where the family contributes the highest percentage of their revenue for education. But the lack of regulation and oversight allows that today 40% of the teachers in the primary school has not even finished secondary school. So basically they're buying low quality education. We need to train
25,000 new teachers. They can be the ones that are there right now. They can be retrained. We've done that experiment, and we've seen the result of when you promote better training of the teachers. As far as changing the mentality, you know what? Les petites victoires amènent les grandes victoires. I think if we start working together and we achieve small victories, we will believe more in ourselves and we will bring greater victories. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question on the other side.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and I'm a current master's candidate at GW studying international economic affairs, and specifically one of my focus areas are illicit finance and security. So I've studied recently that, and it doesn't take much study to know that corruption is a key constraint to Haiti's economic growth. How can we attack or curb and fight corruption if the people that are in charge of doing this are part of the problem?
I think we've addressed that question, but I will go back and say to you that American doesn't pay tax because they love paying taxes. They pay taxes because they go to jail when they don't pay taxes. And I think that that's part of what we are promoting is it has to be a culture change. It has to be a system change. And it's not going to be easy. Let me give you one example of what I'm saying. In 2008, the government seized a boat that was doing contraband in Saint-Marc and kept it for 2 months. During 6 months, the contraband with these boats stopped because people were afraid that they would seize their boats. So once you start implementing the rule of law, which is what Edzera said and everybody else said, when you start implementing it, now it has to be part of a program. It has to be part of a vision. It has to be part of a society rule that we do not accept anymore these things. Having said that, the ambassador of Taiwan told me one day, corruption is everywhere, except that in Taiwan it's 10%, in Haiti it's 200%. So I think we have to work at reducing corruption first, as a first step.
Okay,
yes.
Good evening, my name is Jean-Pierre Leroy. I am launching my new platform, Global Media 28. This is the reason why I'm here tonight. My question is, earlier you mentioned Dominican Republic. Everybody knows that Dominican Republic is an obstacle for the production, Asian production. Systematically, they produce every single thing for us. So how could we get rid of the Dominican Republic so we can be made very productive? So j'ai mentionné le cas de la République dominicaine où ce État produit tout pour Haïti. Donc, comment pouvoir produire si notre voisin produit tout et met les pressions pour qu'on puisse ne pas produire? Voilà.
There are two things you can do. First of all, you cannot get rid of the Dominican Republic. You have to work with them, and they have a problem they want to solve with you. Is the migration problem. You have a problem you want to solve with them. It's the importation. We need a global agreement with the Dominican Republic that includes migration and that includes also import. There are two things we can do. One is at least collect the duties that of the product that are coming. We estimate we lose on the border $350 million of duties not collected. And you know what I'm proposing? Ask the Dominican Republic to collect it for us. And you know why again? Because their export is submitted for subsidy return to the exporters. So we can do that. The second thing, we don't have the funds. The private sector in Haiti today does not have the funds. Somebody said that, to develop Haiti. Why don't we develop a special cooperation to encourage Dominicans to come and invest in our country what they are currently producing in their country and produce it for us? Once you start putting the barriers and you put them on a scale, whereas you don't put them overnight, but over the next 5 years, they know that within 5 years, you're going to have custom duties that will prevent this product. We will promote investment by the Dominicans in Haiti.
I want to ask something real quick about this one. I was asking myself the same question. Why the trade is so unfair between Haiti and the Dominican Republic? Why would never be really strong against them? And I got the answer, is that it's been a couple of years now, the Dominican economic sector, they are the biggest financial support
for candidates in Haiti. So, it's pretty simple. And I'm going to tell you an example. Mbadze Creole. Au ministre Soumatili, qui devait camper contre Dominicani, le que Dominicani était pour un décret contre Haïtien. Nous faisons une déclaration. Dominique a demandé pour évoquer monsieur. Il a évoqué demain matin. Exemple 13. Dominique a financé l'élection présidentielle en Haïti. Le président va poser aux questions demain matin. That's why we have to have a new generation of leaders qui sont indépendants, qui ont le courage de traiter avec tout le monde dans la zone. Merci.
Okay. We're moving on the other side. We have a question. You get a chance.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Est-ce que les professionnels entrepreneurs haïtiens parlent businessman pour changer ça? Nous tous qui dans le business, ce n'est pas diaspora seulement qui est important. Est-ce que nous parlons pour changer par exemple? On a pris du corps, tout business a fermé. Est-ce que nous voulons gangstérisation pays avec ça pour gagner le pouvoir? Ou bien est-ce que nous voulons créer un encadrement pour nous garder les décisions? Tout ça, je sais pas, est-ce que nous avons une équipe qui parle pour créer terrain pour garder la paix? Tout les enfermés, c'est trois grands tous autour d'hôtel, nous tout à petit corps. Est-ce que nous parlons pour changer les bagailles? Le cas de littérature.
Bon, il n'y a pas de la soirée qui est ici comme parce que nous-mêmes là, nous sommes des businessmen, nous sommes industriels, nous sommes ici comme dans le pays. Malheureusement, nous ne pouvons pas non. Par aucun monde n'a ici comme nous pouvons faire. Donc, nous ne sommes pas d'accord avec la stérilisation par ailleurs. Nous ne sommes pas d'accord avec eux, nous ne sommes pas bon pour nous. Parce que, je si l'autre collègue là, capable de dire, non, mais même, ça fait 2 ans, que le pays a effondré, le pays a tombé, mais on trouve que personne n'a aimé. Donc, je ne pense pas que c'est la problème. Je pense que nous-mêmes, en tant qu'Haïtiens, il faut nous camper pour dire ça, il ne faut pas continuer comme ça. Nous ne sommes pas d'accord avec lui. Et ce n'est pas nous-mêmes qui sommes en Haïti, même nous-mêmes qui sommes en diaspora, il faut nous camper tout. Parce que qui est Haïtien pour là, nous-mêmes, nous ne sommes pas ici, est-ce que nous sommes au sérieux? Donc, parce que nous ne sommes pas nous. Merci.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Brisbaki, and I'm a part of a student organization at the University of Maryland. Our goal is to empower Haiti and help you move to a more sustainable future. Unfortunately, we've been blocked by travel due to a university concern. How can we help from here in the United States?
We all be getting conflicting statements from the U.S. government. When they're evaluating the effectiveness of the United Nations mission, they say everything is fine, they're doing a good job, that's what they wanted to state. But on the other side, they put us on the advisory, I think number 4, travel warning. So here, you have to ask the congressman what's going on. From one end, you say everything is fine, the United Nations not doing a fine job, but you have a 4 rating, that's why advisory for Haiti. So these are consistent messages, and they only serve political purposes. So in that way, one of the ways diaspora can help is that you ask your congressman, rally around the fact that we cannot have 2 sets of approaches when it comes to Haiti.
I would like to first thank the member of Parliament for their ideas, their engagement, and their passion about Haiti. My question is specifically for Dr. Bruce. I like very much your idea of a national agenda, and which I, if I'm not mistaken, should address all the priorities and prioritize them. Now, do you think, first, that it is possible to have a national agenda formulated and put into place in Haiti without first having a consensus between all the stakeholders, mainly the private sector, the public sector, the population, and the diaspora? And second, what steps do you think are necessary to address that? To Dr. Lucas.
There are 2 ways to do a national agenda. There are not 3. One is through a national dialogue. I don't see today that the Haitian government has the credibility and even the political power to conduct a national dialogue for a national agenda. The second one is to put it into a political platform. The second way is to do it to a political platform, and therefore that political platform will campaign on that national agenda. And every member of that national platform will abide by this national agenda. And this is what we are doing right now. We go into town hall meeting in Haiti, promoting this and hearing people mostly, so that we collect ideas to build a national agenda that the third way is proposing.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is John Elion. I am saddened to the situation down there. I've spent the past 4 years trying to import millions of dollars of product from Haiti. And Kiskia Minerals is the subject company that's down there. They've had all their assets seized 4 years by the government. What if Haiti actually submitted to an international trade agreements tied to international criminal court? Because I think that's the only way out at this point. Your thoughts?
I think what you're probably talking about is the corruption and the non-functioning of our judicial system. In fact, we talk a lot about corruption, but I would tell you, I think that today it's more than the parliament. The justice system is the most corrupted today in Haiti at all levels. So therefore,
Maryland's pretty bad. I'm just saying if there was an international...
Yeah, but you would not be able to enforce it in Haiti if you don't have, because even when you have an international court that makes a decision, to enforce it, you need a judicial system locally that will take that decision and enforce it. You will not get that either. So we need a transformation of the society. We need a transformation of our system. And it has to start with very, very difficult choices to be made and painful choices to be made.
I appreciate that, but you do have to understand that those who have put monies out there, who have put their faith in Haitian people, in Haiti, and trying to build this back up, is kind of disappointed because you can export all the artwork you want, but it's not going to match the kind of business that's been blockaded for 4 years by the Haitian government. And I can express why, what they're actually using the equipment for, but it's sad. It's sad that no one can get a grip. And that's why I'm saying if you go to an international court, international criminal court, maybe that should help because it's not happening inside Haiti.
To answer to your question, that's the one thing that I've been promoting is to have a one-stop shop. Like CFI should become a one-stop shop, meaning that you should be protected. So once you get in and you can put a guarantee or a bank guarantee for the project that you're going to, let's say 5% toward the money that you're going to invest, and automatically you should be able to get all your papers and get all the facilities.
But that's all
and I think,
okay.
Then as Mr. was saying, I think it's more about justice.
Okay, it's on the other side, sir. Our time is moving fast. We only have 10 more minutes or less. So let's see if we can move forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Morrison. Normalement, je voulais intervenir à Suède pour me parler directement avec M. Boulot et m'a profité de saluer Gilbert Tout. Nous avons dit qu'on y a hypocrisie dans la salle là, ça qui parle, pas parler exactement. Le problème, c'est que moi-même, nous sommes victimes dans les dernières élections 2015 qui ont été faites, que Gilbert connaît bien. Donc, moi-même, moi, j'ai parlé à un pile monde en Haïti, soi-disant, bourgeois dans le pays, pour garder la situation problème du pays. Comment nous comprenons que un pays capable de développer à qualité bourgeoisie, ça entre guillemets est bien? Comment? Est-ce que un pays qui est capable de développer sans bourgeoisie nationale, sans une bourgeoisie qui chita sur une base réelle, sur un bagage continental qui défend une société? Nous comprenons que je ne dis que nous n'avons aucun discours d'exclusion côté de la voie, parce que tout le monde est important. Et tout le monde, soi-disant, qui est bourgeois en Haïti, c'est des gens qui naissent, et maman, papa, qui viennent, qui travaillent, qui produisent propre affaire. Avec personne qui va jouer au sur.
Mais il faut que nous d'accord que ce n'est pas une bourgeoisie qui est organisée. Parce que tout le pays qui a développé, c'est bourgeoisie qui travaille. Deuxième question à poser, M. Rollos, directement. Vous parlez de la question de troisième voie, que m'apprécie très bien. Mais troisième voie, qu'est-ce que ça signifie, ou même réellement? Parce qu'en réalité, la bourgeoisie, il y a une responsabilité directe dans le développement du pays. Mais bon, notre classe assez importante qui peut faire le développement, c'est la classe moyenne. La politique, c'est l'apanage responsable direct d'une classe bien déterminée qui c'est la classe moyenne. La bourgeoisie qui est l'argent, le monopole, l'argent amène, et la classe moyenne qui travaille pour y faire directement en conjonction entre la classe bourgeoisie et la classe prolétariat. Si je ne dis pas, nous regardons que la politique, là, même si c'est ça qui était au niveau de la classe moyenne politique pour développer le pays, nous avons choisi le même type. Donc, quel avenir pour la classe moyenne? C'est question comme ça.
Non, c'est pour lui.
Très grave. Que la politique, c'est la priorité de la classe moyenne. C'est ça, mon problème. C'est ça. Oui. De la classe moyenne. Non.
Parce qu'il y a une différenciation entre la politique et le politique. Vous pouvez être un politique, mais pas un politicien, comme on l'avait dit tout à l'heure. Le politicien, c'est celui qui, maintenant, qui gère les affaires.
Et alors, j'ai bien compris ce que vous avez dit. Et je vais répondre. Vous pouvez vous attendre, je vais répondre. C'est absolument extraordinaire qu'on m'a dit que le fait de faire la politique est réservé à la classe moyenne. Trump n'est pas de la classe moyenne, il est président des États-Unis. Écoutez-moi. D'abord, la bourgeoisie suit un leadership politique. Je ne défends pas cette bourgeoisie. Je veux le dire très rapidement. Elle a beaucoup de choses qu'elle doit corriger chez elle. Mais la bourgeoisie dominicaine n'est pas devenue ce qu'elle est parce qu'elle a décidé de devenir ce qu'elle est. Elle a eu un leader politique qui s'appelle Balaguer, qui a développé les règles du jeu pour que la bourgeoisie les respecte. C'est ce qu'il n'y a pas en Haïti. C'est les règles du jeu. Maintenant, n'importe qui peut avoir l'ambition de jouer à un rôle politique, qu'il soit de la classe moyenne. D'ailleurs, je vais vous dire, aujourd'hui, le pouvoir, dans toutes ses composantes, est occupé par la classe moyenne. Les députés qui boivent du café pour 152 millions de cours pendant un trimestre, qui équivaut à 20 000 pompiers ou 42 salles de classe, c'est de la classe moyenne. Je crois qu'il faut sortir de cette exclusion et cette division. Depuis 20 ans, depuis qu'il a fait exclusion, depuis Boukiamalis, ça qui est là. Il représente Malis comme intelligent, c'est plus pour ma c'est Malis. En sortant.
Mais qui ça nous casse ensemble. Nous, on est dans l'heure comme ça. Et le jour où on est dans l'heure comme ça, on a bien en plein bureau. Parce que je voulais vous dire, et ça m'a réalisé, c'est que si on est dans une élection et que c'est des qui avec lui, c'est le pas bénéficier, il faut que nous qui en face, nous pas bénéficier. Parce que la politique n'est pas juste dans une direction. C'est tout pour ensemble. Merci.
Thanks. We have a question
This young lady,
on the side.
and then two last questions.
Please give it 30 seconds.
Okay, my name is Anita Mbieneme. I work in international affairs in DC. And my question is for whoever feels best equipped to answer this. So you said setting a national agenda is the answer to address priorities, whether that's health, education, agricultural reform. But how does that happen with politicians who are only interested in their own personal gain, and how do we enforce laws and build institutions that outlast these politicians? And how do we get to the point where we build this political capacity without waiting on Haitian Americans to get double nationality? And finally, how do we support the average Haitian in Haiti and build their capacity to take public office and eventually set this national agenda we talked about?
All right. Let me start with the last one, which is probably the easiest. What we're doing, and I can only talk about the things we're doing, okay? Working with the youth, The program initiated 5x4, which is 20 million trees. We already have about 70 schools involved in this program. That's about 10,000 school children. We need to get to 300 schools and have about maybe 200,000 school children participating in this economic program. And that will empower the kids in terms of not only the vision of investing in Haiti and eventually have the social responsibility of the country that's needed to bring this country forward. So some of the things working with the youth is a very key thing for the things we're doing. The first part of the question was the national layer that you want to just all right. But the one thing that's important to do, and the last presidential elections, we haven't had a really serious debate in terms of presidential election since 1957, when Fiore, Desjoie, and President Duvalier were there. We haven't had that. We have other things like Makupa, and so on and so forth. We haven't had a really serious. We are hoping that when we come to the next election, we have a serious discussion about the fundamentals of Haiti. Not just one more that we have. The current president, how many people voted for him? He might be a little president, but he's not a legitimate president in terms of total people that voted for him. And that's the real fact. So when he doesn't have that support, how can he move forward with any agenda if he has one? So we need to go around and get people involved to vote and change the things around. And we need to do that initiative.
Okay, I believe we have the last question because it's we don't have time.
Yeah,
Because you're going to do your closing remarks, so we let
Premièrement, c'est un erreur le problème que c'est qu'on y a un bourgeois besoin de pouvoir. Le bourgeois toujours ce pouvoir. C'est au TV des journaux, c'est au TV des rivales, des pouvoirs sur matériel. So it's a mistake to think that bourgeois now trying to be in power. Alright? Just to make it clear, first. Deuxième point, c'est que faut qu'on va comprendre que just need a national agenda and problem solve. In 1983, Dominican Republic and Haiti both have the same national agenda for growth and job creation. You know what happened? We never implement ours, we never respect it. So just to write a national agenda doesn't mean that we solve the problem. We have to get the leaders with courage, with competencies, and with honesty that can lead and also respect and implement the national agenda. Thank you.
My name is Sabine Philippe, and this question is actually addressed to Leslie Gervais as a banker. I'm a former federal regulator for banking in the US. I'm also a former US House of Representatives Banking Committee staff, professional legislative staff. And I just happened to live 2 years in Haiti in the banking system where a bank was failing and I was called to help out with the bank, which I did do a good job. The question is, you indicated that the agriculture will come with a contract and then to a bank based on whatever situation. It can get a loan or somebody's to grow. We're talking about economics, right? So I want to know, for you as a banker, what are you planning to do in Haiti to see that people do have access to credit so that people like Madame Dress is able to grow further without having to worry about going to trade shows or getting money from the diaspora or things of that nature. So I want to know, as a banker, what would you be going to do in Haiti in order to help reform the very sadly sick banking system in Haiti? Because I've seen it.
All right. I was here to say that because I have some contract with them. I probably will lose that if I answer that in that same direction. So please bear with me. All right. This is a very serious question. I knew that Mrs. Phillip did a good job. I thought that this was familiar. Thank you for reminding me. What you have here is a fundamental problem, and it's not such related to the banking sector. You have to balance out monetary policies with fiscal policies. That's the first thing I would say from the onset. So what's been happening in the past years is that whatever the government is doing on one hand, and the banking sector had to pay for it. So right now reserve requirements are so high, and that the banking sector is not able to lend anybody any money. So you basically have a frozen economy right now because no money is being lent due to reserve requirements. That's the only policy the central bank has had to stop the deterioration of the Haitian currency. That's the first thing. But what she's basically saying is that it's the same thing that we go back to. The people who are invested in the banks are people who also have their businesses. They are part of the bourgeoisie that we like to call them. And they're in the banks, and they are financing their own projects to start with. That's the first question that you have to address. How can you get them to do all the things? You have to go to the central bank again, and you have to ask yourself one question. Who's overseeing the central bank as far as policy and economic development programs? So those are the things that you need to enact to make sure that the banking sector do the right things in terms of development. So there it is.
Thank you. I think we reached the time and we exhausted all the questions.
I'll ask that each speaker say your closing remarks in 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
30 seconds, right? Anyway, I'm very happy that I'm here today, and I see like how enthusiastic all Haitians are, and with the willingness of seeing your country grow. So that gives me the faith, and to think that in the near future, Haiti is going to get the way it used to be. Which you guys everything is possible. Thank you.
As you all can see, thank you very much for inviting me. As you can see, I'm very passionate about Haiti. To make that fundamental change, after we've done a right assessment that the First Republic is dead, we have to go to the next republic, and it is a change of framework of mind to do so. But you gotta also remember that building that road and constructing the new country is a very long process. It will not happen overnight. So people will have to make a lot of sacrifices. Even privileges that people are getting right now, even Dr. Goulot, some of his businesses, you'll have to think twice about them as far as the thing that he needs to do. I think I want to congratulate him on the third wave. I think he's going in the right direction. And as far as the thing that needs to be done. But sacrifices, long-term building, because politics is really the construction of the city. It's not what we're having right now, which are electoral position for power. Thank you.
We've been doing the same thing for 200 years now, and it doesn't work. We produce more population than wealth every year. We need to stop, get a divorce, disrupt what we've been doing, to do something new, actually based on wealth again. It's not the mountain or the sea or the trees gonna do it, it's people. And that's the biggest resources that we have. We have people. People with courage, people with competences, people with honesty. We need a small group of people that can lead to the change. Thank you.
Namaste everyone in HRA for having me tonight. My closing remarks are going to be 10 seconds. It's a time for us all to get together in Haiti, and it's time for you not only to invest, but also to be implicated, not only financially, but politically. It's really time for change, and we need everybody on board.
I have to take some. I don't like the idea that we've been doing things wrong for 200 years. If Estime was still president for 60 years, we would be at a different level today. Since 1957, we've been going down the road. But from 1946 to 1950, we were doing very well going forward. And I have to say, we have to go back today to the dialogue movement, to the union movement. We've been living a division movement overwhelming since 1991. It's basically black against white, muna wo, muna ba, mun sort, mun intelligent. Today it's time for dialogue, and I welcome all of you to the dialogue platform that we have on the table. Thank you very much.
In the name of HRA, I want to thank you all for being here. Your presence really shows your interest in the affairs of Haiti, and continue your devotion, dedication, and whatever you can do to help that will be welcome. And I want to say thank you to the panel. Thank you to the panel members. And remember, there's Mr. Emil has a book outside. If you are interested, he can sign it for you. But it's probably a good reading. I encourage you to do so. So there'll probably be other meetings. You will be invited. And thank you. I'm Leslie Santi.
Please direct yourself to the exit. Do you remember that we have events coming up on the flag day on May 18th and May 19th? So please check on your